Yeah, hi. Today we're going to discuss about the Spring Framework. Before we go ahead, let's look at the topics I'm going to cover. First of all, we'll be downloading the Spring. We'll be working on both its versions, 4.x and 5.x. Okay. Before that, the official website. Let's go to the official website. This official website, or you can also type Spring in the Google. You'll get this. If you look at this, let's go to its. You can see the Spring is by the Pivotal company. Let's go to the projects. You can see the Spring has the different projects: Spring Boot framework, Cloud Data, Spring Data Integration, Batching, all this stuff. Spring Shell, Spring Session, Spring Scala, all those stuff. So, but we are the concerned about the Spring framework. Let's click on it. Here, um, let's go to learn. You can see the current general availability available. The version is 5.1.5. This is the current version. So GA stands for the general availability, and usually we always need to select this version because they're the stable version. If you look at, we also have few higher versions. This latest one, we have the higher versions 5.1.6 and 5.2.0, but they both are on the snapshot, which means that some kind of the development, the testing is still in progress. So we're not going to touch it. So here, if you look at, we have two kinds of documents. One is the reference documents and the API. API document is nothing but it's going to talk about all the classes and interfaces. Once we start coding, we are going to look into it. The reference document it's going to talk about, it's going to give us examples. It's going to have few the documents to go over. Okay. Um, okay. Before that, let's. So usually we download the framework or any kind of um, the software is through just through the dependency through Maven dependencies. So, but here we're not going to download as a Maven dependency. First, we're going to try download the zip file. We're going to try with it in Eclipse. Then we're going to move to the Maven. Okay, to download Eclipse, to download the zip Spring zip files, we need to go to Google and search with the name repo Spring releases. It's going to take us to the repository. You can see all the different versions: 1, 2.x, 4.x. As I said, we're going to work on the 4.x and 5.x. So let me select the latest version, 4.3. And you can click it. We have different kinds of things. We're going to download zip file, and I have already downloaded. I'll click on it. It's going to automatically download. And we're going to download the 5.x latest version. I've already the downloaded and extracted. You can see these both versions. These are the extracted versions. So let's look at the structure of it. Let me open 4.x. Okay, yeah, this is structure. So when you first look at, you can see the first the file is documents. As I said, the documents are of two types. One is API, other one is the documentation. For the reference, API is going to have the classes and interfaces, which you're going to use it at the kind of development. The Spring Framework reference is going to have few examples how to work on it. These things. I clicked on the references. You can see it has the different forms. It's the documentation is present in HTML. It's also present in the form of PDF. Okay, so that's the 4.x. Let's go to the 5.x. Oh, even here we have the same structure. Let's go to the documentation. Yes, as always, we have API and other one is documentation further as a reference. Okay. The main difference that the documentation is they have subdivided the modules, code, data integration, language, and all the stuff they have divided. But whereas in 4.x we have all of them in a single PDF. But 5.x they have divided according to modules. So first of all, let's learn the architecture. Let me go to the 4.x. Uh, yeah, we have discussed about the documentation. Let's go to the libs. Libs could have all the jar files. Even for the 4.x and 5.x, we could have the jar files. Okay, and the schema, the stuff we know we're concerned about it. Okay, so first of all, let's look at the architecture. Further, we are going to go to the docs and select the Spring Framework reference. I'm going to select HTML and look for the images. I need an image for the architecture of the 4.x. It should be somewhere here. Yeah, this is the one. So if you look at here, you can see this the base of the core module. So on top of it, we have some other modules like Spring AOP. So which is the Spring AOP is dependent on the core. So when you talk about Spring DAO is dependent on the core, and Spring ORM is dependent on the DAO, which internally depends upon the core. So when you talk about web, it depends on the context, and context internally depends upon the core. So here, Spring Webmo MVC. So this depends upon the core. All these different modules are dependent upon the core. You can see the if it is one above each other, it means that it depends upon that particular module. So this is the architecture of the 4.x. Let's look at the 5.x. Yes, this is the architecture of the 5.x. You can see they have again subdivided the modules in a structured way. In the core container, they're calling it the container. The core container, they can have different the parts beans, codes, context, spell. Spell is nothing but a Spring expression language. Oh, they have included a new module which is called as a text. So this test, all these modules depends upon the test, the core container. Then, as I said, all those things. So if you look at the AOP is dependent upon the core container. The core container depends upon the test and the aspects. When you go to the aspects module, the aspects module depends upon the core container, and the core container depends upon the test. The same way, the instrumentation depends upon the core and test. That's how. Okay. I can see the again they have divided the beautifully divided all the modules, the placed separately. That's a good thing. Okay. But here today we're going to discuss important point of concern is about core container. We're going to talk about it. So the core container has the four parts: beans, codes, context, and expressions. So we're going to first work with it. To work with it, we need those jars, only those four jars. Okay. So let me go to Eclipse. Okay, first of all, let's go to the framework where we have downloaded. Okay, first of all, we're going to work with the 4.x. Yeah, here, if you go to libs, let's select those modules. We have few different kinds of things. If you select bean, we have a jar file. We have a java jar file. We have a source file. So we are not going to make any kind of more modification to this jar file. So we're going to simply make use of this plain jar files. Okay. As I said, the core module contains four jars. So what are they? Beans, context, core, expression. So we're going to select these four modules, four jar files for the core module. Okay. It's going to take some time. It all depends upon the number of the plugins what you have that you have installed. The more plugins, the more tools you have, the more time it's going to take. Oh, I have already created the folder. Okay, new Java project. Let me give a name. Oh, let's say core 4.x for x. I'll simply say finish. Okay, so you can see the project got created, and this is the structure. We have the source file. This is the class path. So first of all, let's create few classes. Create the class. The person is not the main class. Yeah, it has created in default package. I don't want that. I want my own package. So let me move this person to Java to the com. Automatically, the default package would get deleted. So whenever we don't create any kind of the package, it's going to take all of the classes in default package. Yeah, there's a plain. There's a simple class. Let's create a new main class with the name package. The name app. It's going to have a main class. Let's click finish. Okay. So we need some data inside it, and let me add the jar for external files. Go to build configure build path. Go to library, add external jars. I'm going to go to 4.x and go to lib and select all those uh, four jar files of the core module. AOP context core core. Where is bean? Core context spell. We need expression language. Yeah, this is the expression. This four jars. Let me select. Okay. Now can say apply and close. Okay. And the important, if you look at the map, and the important file is pom.xml. If you look at the Spring, the important file is as the application context. We can give it any name, but for now, I will use the standard name application context, and that configuration, the Spring configuration file, we're not going to use in the 5.x in all these the higher versions 5.x and above. We're going to make use of the annotations, but as we are working with the old version 4.x, I'm making use of this configuration file instead of annotations. So to create the annotations, all these configuration files must and always should be in the class path. Here the class path is the source. Let me really right click on it, new. I've already installed STS 3.x. So 4.x, I'm not going to use 4.x. I'm going to use 3.x for the Spring version 4.x. Let me click other. Select Spring. Yeah, it's showing the Spring build configuration file. Let me select it and give some name, application, context. I will say finish. You can see the configuration file got created. Let me click on it. You can see. Let me close unnecessary thing. Okay, so this is the configuration file. Now let me go to the beans. So beans are nothing but are the plain Java objects. So any class, it can be any class. It can be called as bean. So we have the person bean. This is a main class, right? So we can call any class. Any class can be called as a bean. So I'm calling the person.java as a bean. To create a bean, we need to say we can select new bean, or else we can right click on it and say insert bean elements. So first of all, we're going to go with this new bean. Let me give it some name. I'm giving the bean name as it should be a unique name. And my class name. What is my class name? My class name is right control space for to automatically detect. Okay, I will say next. Okay, I will say finish. So let's go to the source file. You can see the bean got created, and it can be identified with ID person, and its class name is this one. Okay, now we have created the bean, but our the person class doesn't have anything. Let's create um, few fields. So all the most one should be the private integer, PID. So you can see I'm taking rubber classes instead of the limit variables. And let me create setters and getters for this. To create setters and getters, we need to go to source. Where is it? Generate. I'm going to select all generate. Now it has created setters and getters setters. Let me create a new method which should return values. Public void display. I will say this out. I will say name as something. Should return name, and this one should return PID. This one should return salary. Okay. Okay, done. Let's go to app class. Here, the important thing. What we're going to do is, as we have all the jar files of the core module, you can see difference library. You can see all the 4 jars which we have already added as an external files. Let me tab new. To work on it, we need to use new default listable control space listable bean factory. Okay, control 1. It's going to create and statement. I'm going to name reference variable as container. Okay, and next I'm going to add new XML bean control space a bean definition reader. I'm going to place the container inside it. Control 1 as a new document, new statement to new local variable. I'm going to name it as reader. Okay, and to this XML bean definition, I'm going to assign this document, the bean configuration file, reader dot load control space one bean definition resources. Load definition string location. So where's my string location is always in the class path, and this is my name. So let's create the object for it. So object is container dot get bean of string. Yeah. What is my bean name? My bean name is person. So let me control one assign new statement to document. It's taking super class. I don't want this. I want to make use of my person class, and it's showing some error. Place your cursor on it. It's saying that to add cast to the person. I have added cast. Now let's call our method person dot display. Now what to display? We are not sent any kind of data. So let's go to the bean configuration file. Click on it. Click on the beans. Here, right click on it. Insert property. So what we're going to say, name the first property, control space. It's going to ask. I'm going to select name. I'm going to give some value to it. Okay, done, right? Again, I'm going to select the new property file. This time I'm going to select PID. I'm going to see my ID is 10. Okay. Now, new property file. I'm going to say it as salary. My salary is 10,000. So let's go to the source file. You can see this is my bean class name and it has some properties, name, find all this. I have given all this value. Let me save all this and go to the main class. Okay, now I'm going to call display. So the default listable container, it's going to create a container for us. So the bean definition defining this the container. I'm going to load this application. Okay. So here I'm going to call the bean using this container. The container is going to call the bean the person. It's going to look into its application context, and it's going to create an object for us. From the display, it's going to retrieve the values from the bean and go to display. Okay, right click on that, run as Java application. We got some problem is saying that Apache common logging is not available. Let's Google it. So it's saying that it needs Apache common logins. Let's go to the site Apache. There's a logging file, just like in log4j, backlog. The same way we have Apache common loggings. Don't know why it's taking a long time. I already went to the Apache common loggings and I don't know why it's taking a long time. I've already downloaded Apache common loggings. You can see here my software Apache common loggings. You can see we have jars, logging, and Java doc. We're concerned about log. I have already let me add dot build path that particular jar as extra jar. I'm going to select software common loggings conch and this jar. Applying close. Now we can run. Right click on the main class, run as Java application. Oh wow, we got the values. So those were the 4.x. Um, let's try with the 5.x.